Hello students, welcome back to our English class. We were doing the first chapter of our text Hornbill. The name of the chapter is The Portrait of a Lady. We will continue with the explanation of the following paragraphs. Now let's start. When I went up to university, I was given a room of my own. The common link of friendship was snapped. My grandmother accepted her seclusion with resignation. She rarely left her spinning wheel to talk to anyone. From sunrise to sunset, she sat by her wheel, spinning and reciting prayers. Only in the afternoon, she relaxed for a while to feed the sparrows, while she sat in the veranda breaking the bread into little bits. Hundreds of little birds collected round her, creating a veritable bedlam of chirpings. Some came and perched on her legs, others on her shoulders, some even sat on her head. She smiled but never shooed them away. It used to be the happiest hour of the day for her. Now students, over here in this paragraph it has been said that this is the third phase of the relationship between the author and the grandmother. At this stage, the author has come up to the university level of his studies, and in this phase he was given a separate room. So you can understand that in this phase the common connection of sharing a single room in the city life also got snapped off. So with the separation of the room, the common link of friendship was snapped. This is how the author has depicted the loss of connection, the loss of touch between the grandmother and the grandson. So my grandmother accepted her seclusion with resignation. Now, this is again another phrase you will learn in this paragraph, which means that the author's grandmother's passive submission to her secluded life after she gradually loses touch with her grandson. So what is her favorite pastime in the city life? That is to turn on the spinning wheel and not to talk to anyone. From sunrise to sunset, she used to sit in front of the wheel and used to turn on the spinning wheel. Now, only her relaxation hour is the afternoon hour when she sat in the veranda breaking the bread into little bits. And to feed whom? To feed the sparrows. Now, before also in the village life, we have seen students that how the grandmother is of a loving nature, is having a loving nature, and how he is affectionate towards the animals. Like in the village, she used to feed the village dogs. And over here, in the city life even, if not the dogs in the streets, she used to feed the sparrows. So she is an animal lover. She is a nature lover. Now the sparrows also used to feel very happy. They used to come and sit on the shoulders and head and on the legs of the grandmother, and the grandmother never used to shoo them away. It was the happiest hour of the day. Now over here again a phrase you will come across, a veritable bedlam of chirpings, which means that the noise, the confusion, the chaos caused by the chirping of the sparrows that scattered and perched around the author's grandmother. So the cacophony is been referred to as the veritable bedlam of chirping of the sparrows. Now let's come to the next paragraph, students. When I decided to go abroad for further studies, I was sure my grandmother would be upset. I would be away for 5 years, and at her age one could never tell. But my grandmother could. She was not even sentimental. She came to leave me at the railway station but did not talk or show any emotion. Her lips moved in prayer. Her mind was lost in prayer. Her fingers were busy telling the beads of her rosary. Silently she kissed my forehead, and when I left I cherished the moist imprint as perhaps the last sign of physical contact between us. So students, over here in this paragraph it is said that when the author has finally decided to go abroad for further studies, he was quite sure that the grandmother would be upset because he will not be in front of his grandmother for 5 years. So the common connection or the chance or the opportunity to meet face to face at least once in a day also is getting stopped. But my grandmother could. That is, she was not even sentimental. See, the nature of the grandmother, the character sketch, how the author has drawn her portrait, that the author is saying that the grandmother was not even sentimental. She came to bid farewell to the author at the railway station but did not show any emotion, did not talk even. Her lips were moved in prayer. So I have told you before also that she was a spiritual lady by heart, and at this moment also she preferred to remain silent and remain in her prayers, telling her rosary beads, that is in her chants, and counting the beads of her rosary in order to bless, in order to pray good wishes for her grandson. She just kissed the author on his forehead, and the author is over here saying that perhaps the last moist print of her saliva, that is moist means the saliva, when the grandmother kissed the author, it left a moist imprint, and the author is saying over here that perhaps this is the last sign of physical contact between us, that is between he and his grandmother. But that was not so. Let's come to the next paragraph. Over here it said that but that was not so. After 5 years, I came back home and was met by her at the station. She did not look a day older. She still had no time for words, and while she clasped me in her arms, I could hear her reciting her prayers. Even on the first day of my arrival, her happiest moments were with the sparrows, whom she fed longer with frivolous rebukes. So over here, students, it has been said in this paragraph that after 5 years, author came successfully back to his country, completing his studies. And when the author came back, he found his grandmother looking as she was when he left abroad for studies 5 years back. The grandmother clasped her grandson in her arms, and that time also she did not talk much, only kept on reciting her prayers. So even on the first day of the author's arrival, the happiest moment for the grandmother was to feed the sparrows. Now over here, the frivolous rebukes is another phrase you have to learn, students, and it refers to the casual and light-hearted rebukes of the grandmother to the sparrows.